Hey guys, welcome to the Follow Our Fam vlog. Today's video, I'm just going to cover tips and tricks that my husband and I discovered just along the journey as new parents. I'm hoping that this video will really help out any new parent who really just simply doesn't really know where to start. Probably from the ages of like infant, newborn until the baby is about 1 year old. So this is the basic number one. The baby really does just eat, sleep, poop. I think this just amazed Tyler and I at how much it is really important to get into a very simple routine that helps you and your spouse. Often, your baby's been asleep for a couple hours, they start to get fussy to wake up. Really what you want to do is give the baby that bottle or nurse. And I'm just going to tell you right there, stop. Stop for a moment and just go ahead and change your baby's diaper, because what you really don't want to do is start feeding your newborn, then you realize, oh my gosh, I did not change their diaper. Or sometimes you hear them, going to the bathroom while you're feeding them. And you're like, oh crap, I forgot to change them. They end up waking up and you ruin the entire process of them falling back asleep in your arms. You just disrupt them. You don't want to get into a bad pattern with that. Then you're really just going to invest a lot more time in the entire feeding and changing process. It's best just to go ahead and once your baby wakes up, go ahead and change that baby's diaper, and then you can continue on with feeding them. Okay, so the second piece of advice that I have for you, choose your pediatrician wisely. I know a lot of parents that are just friends of ours. This was a hot topic because you don't want to choose the wrong pediatrician. You have to find someone that really fits to your family's just dynamic. Whenever Tyler and I chose our pediatrician, this individual was absolutely wonderful. They went out of their way above and beyond to always make sure that our children were being cared for, that, we felt safe discussing anything amongst them. The only issue with this was, yes, we did do a little bit of investigating before we chose that pediatrician, but this individual would almost spend so much time worried about our home life that with our second child, things were overlooked, and that became a huge problem. With our first child, we were kind of told that he had a little bit of torticollis going on. If you don't know what that means, it just basically means that your baby was born with one neck muscle being a little bit more underdeveloped than the other side. Your baby tends to favor looking one direction versus the other. So we struggled with that a little bit at first with our first baby. He got stronger. It ended up working itself out. Now, with our second child, he was born, it was like 2.5 weeks premature. Completely healthy, really great delivery, but we have ended up, and Wayne, since he's been on this earth, investing so much money into just pointless things. The same pediatrician that we had for our firstborn stated that our second was kind of struggling with the same thing. He had a little bit of torticollis. He was hitting that 3 or 4 month old mark and still was really favoring looking the one direction, was really getting a bit of a flat spot on the back of his head. So she suggested that we take him to a physical therapist. So we started that. It worked for a while. We weren't seeing as much improvement as we would have liked to have saw. So she prescribed him to get a helmet. So, he has one of those cranial helmets. I'm sure you've seen babies with it before. We had never dealt with the helmet with our firstborn because it just kind of worked itself out and he no longer had that flat spot. But with Wayne, it was a really bad flat spot. So we started going to physical therapy, and every time, and it's nothing against the physical therapist, this person was very, very nice. It was just getting to be, every time that I left there, I felt like I was just completely, what's the word that I'm looking for? I would just feel down. I was really being hard on myself as a mother, and as a mom, you should never feel that way when you leave a doctor's office. It came to a point in time where our youngest son was due for his one pediatrician appointment, so we went back to the pediatrician. It was It was a rough time in our marriage at the time. I think just once you have that second child, there's an entire difference in parenthood. Not to, disregard people who just have one kid. It's just going from that one child to the second one. It's a lot. We really struggled with that in our marriage at first. We would bicker about just silly things, lack of sleep, all of these things, just you're forgetting to feed yourself. There's a lot of things that come into the whole process of just trying to really work things out for the better of your family. So we went to that pediatrician appointment. There came a point in time during that appointment, I got very emotional, so she had him leave the room. It's just odd. The whole focus of those appointments, I totally get why. It's very important for pediatricians to also kind of get an idea of how home life is for that child and just make sure that things are going right. But she was overlooking vital parts of Wayne's development at that time. At that point, my husband and I were like, you know what? We discussed everything and we thought, this is not worth it. Something's off. We really knew that we needed to find a new pediatrician. This individual was very old school, actually was kind of like, I don't really know that the physical therapy is that necessary. Completely kept the pressure off of myself, which was extremely nice. Very uplifting. I left there feeling like, okay, this individual wasn't too involved into our home life and focused on that more than they were our kids. And it was just such a relief leaving that first initial appointment with this pediatrician that we ended up choosing and we're still now with. So just make sure that you choose your pediatrician wisely. I'm not disregarding what any physician says regarding your child. I think there is a time and a place when, yes, physical therapy might very much be needed for your child. Yes, a helmet might very much be needed for your child. But at the end of the day, that was all regarding muscle and tissues and growth, and your baby is gonna get there. There's nothing else that I can say about it other than the fact that don't make these physicians take you on a financial ride. I mean, honestly, we ended up spending so much money on physical therapy and this helmet. I'm not saying that the cranial helmet isn't necessary. I think it definitely was. Wayne had a very bad flat spot for a very long time. He is doing much better. We ended up stopping with the physical therapy because physically, I thought he simply is just a small child. Like, he didn't need this crazy amount of physical therapy to be able to learn to crawl or to help strengthen his neck muscles. He just needed time. And at the end of the day, I think that a lot of these physicians out here will take you for a ride and they will tell you that you need this, this, and this for your child. And at the end of the day, sometimes it's just not necessary. The third tip is kind of a little odd. Distraction. Every child is different. Every child's going to develop different, and every child's personality and their behavior is completely different. With James, he was not a very fussy baby. He was just very chill. I would be able to set him down, go about my way. Our second child, Wayne, is a little bit more fussier. I think just because it's just literally his personality, and he would hate whenever I would initially lay him down to change his diaper. When you lay your newborn down, a lot of times they're just gonna instantly go to crying. One way that I discovered to just take the edge off of your baby is just to give them something. Give them a little toy, just give them something that will kind of distract them, take their mind off of it. Talk to them, sing them a song, tickle them, figure out what drives your baby, be a little bit more happier in that situation. Number 4 is a very simple one, but practice setting your baby down. I know a lot of times as first-time parents, you're just like, oh my gosh, this is my baby. I just want to hold you all day and I never want to set you down. There will come a time. It might range in your child's age. That baby might make it to 6 months old before you're like, I just need to set you down and I need a minute. This might not ever happen for you. You might literally just never want to set your baby down, and that's fine. I am not one of those people. I need a minute sometimes. It's just really good to practice setting your baby down because this kind of instills in them that when you put them down, everything's gonna be okay. At the end of the day, you need to make that decision whether it's a good time to, set your baby down or to carry your baby around. Number 5, talk to your baby. Now I know this one might sound a little bit strange, but babies really are smarter than we give them credit for. This tip or trick completely spans from the time that your baby's an infant well on into toddlerhood and adolescenthood. But always give your child the why that you're doing something, or why this should be done this way, or what's happening in that situation. They're gonna pick up on simple little words or simple little behaviors that or interactions with them, and they're gonna learn from those things. Say that I needed to run into the other room real quick. I would simply just set my baby down. I would give them a small little toy or something that I knew that they would be safe with for just 1 minute. I would say, hey, mommy will be right back, okay? Mommy is going to go potty, or just mommy will be right back. A lot of times with Wayne, he had a little bit of separation anxiety just because he had a lot that has happened to him in his first year of life. He had surgery, he's had the helmet, he's had physical therapy. So for him, like I said, it's just the fact that he's a fussier baby. So I would set him down, immediately he would start crying, and I'd be like, mommy will be right back. And that instills the trust in your child over time. Longer spans that you are away from your child, and that child is gonna learn and know that you will be back. Or let's say that you're leaving your newborn with a sitter. Always tell your baby, okay, bye, mommy loves you, I will be back, you have a good day. And just simply by saying these things, situations like that, just always make sure you're explaining what you are doing and why. Because over time, your baby is going to learn what that means, and it is going to instill that trust in your child. Okay, number 6, learn how to read your baby. This might be learning how to read your baby's love language. If you don't know what love language is, look it up. It's great for relationships. Everyone has a different love language, and that love language can always change. I have learned with James that this is just one-on-one time or affection. When I spend, maybe even if it's just for like 10 minutes with him one-on-one before I walk away and go do the dishes or mop the floors or vacuum or something or cook dinner, this just feeds his soul. He will behave so much better just entertaining himself if I play with him first. So with him, that's affection. I would say Wayne's about the same. I think a lot of babies, it's just initially their love language is affection, because they just want that from you at first. They want that warmth from mama and dada, and they just want to feel safe. And also learn their feeding and sleeping cues as well. A lot of times babies' sleepy cues will be like, they'll be rubbing their eyes, they'll be yawning. These are just kind of hints as to what is to come. Hunger cues could be like their, hands, their fingers, their fists in their mouth, just kind of gnawing on stuff. Or they could just be inconsolable and you just know that that's what they need. But just learn how to read your child. And this will come with time. Like I said, every baby is different. Not every baby's sleepy or feeding cues are going to be the same. Always be one step ahead. Tip number 7, learn to let your baby explore. This might be geared more towards your baby once they start sitting up. Everything's a new adventure to them. Often I see parents, there's those people that they just literally yell at their child for every single little thing. I really just think this is like counterintuitive, because your child is just basically learning that they're constantly getting gratification and attention from you by yelling and screaming at them, or telling them not to do something, or telling them no. Pick your battles. You will find there are times when you just can't win. Is this really worth me getting upset right now and letting it affect me? Say that you're getting ready to change your baby's diaper and they're doing the whole, alligator thrash roll thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you have a newborn, you just wait. It's coming. It's coming. But babies basically do this thing where you go to change their diaper, and once they've already learned how to crawl or sit up, walk, they're immediately just trying to roll over on their bellies and get out of that situation. And there's been moments where James and Wayne have done this to me, and I'm like, like we're getting ready to go somewhere. I'm like, just sit still so I can change your diaper and we can get on the road and go to where we need to go. But they've just been like giggly, or they just really want me to like tickle them, or they think it's funny, like trying to turn over so that I'm not able to change their diaper. Pick your battles. There's moments where I've lost it. I've lost my temper. But I'm starting to really learn how to practice a lot of self-control and not let those moments always be so serious with my children. I think it's important as a parent, sometimes we're just so serious and we're like, no, 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 you're not allowed in this. I just think it's really important to just let your child be a child. You know, they need to make believe. They need to have moments where it's just funny and mama and dada are not always so serious. So pick your battles. Also, with this whole exploring topic that I'm talking about, children just get into everything. James was not really one of those kids, and I don't know if a lot of that has to do with the fact that I just kind of let him explore things that weren't always toys. Like for instance, in the kitchen, we never put child safety locks on any of our cabinets in our house. And I think this might be a little controversial because I know some people that are like, no, you absolutely have to have everything bolted down so that your child can't get in it and do this or that. No, this is not always the case. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not saying that there's been moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, you shouldn't have got into that. You know, there are those moments. So what I would do with James is say that I was doing the dishes in the kitchen, and before he was able to be a little bit more mobile, I simply just decluttered. I decluttered all of the bottom cabinets to try and make sure that if it wasn't anything that could necessarily harm him, if I wasn't watching every little thing he was doing at the moment. There was that period of time where he was very much interested in just random things, and be like coffee filters, coffee container itself, a little watering can underneath our main sink in the kitchen. He would, get that out and he'd be, banging it around, and he'd have coffee filters and little tea bags thrown everywhere amongst the entire floor in the kitchen. That was okay, and that was something that I think really helped James kind of lose interest in the entire idea of just being in every single little thing. There were moments where after a while, I would start entrusting him to the kitchen cabinets a little more, and I didn't necessarily always have things in there that were completely safe. In that moment, I would have to start correcting him and say, nah, that's probably not a good idea, buddy. Like, you really shouldn't get in there. There's stuff in there that could hurt you and harm you, and mommy doesn't want that. Where I'm getting at here is just let your baby explore, but know your boundary. Only you as the parent know what all is in your cupboards, what all is safe for your child to touch. But simply decluttering before James was mobile really, really helped me out, because I knew exactly what was in every single drawer, every single cupboard in our kitchen, and I knew what cabinets were okay for him to get in and what ones weren't. This instills a lot of trust between parent and child, and I think that's something that's really important these days. I think if you shadow your children from a lot of things, then yes, they are going to be interested in things that they probably shouldn't be. It's really important for your baby to just understand the world around them and, feel comfortable and know that, mommy and daddy trust me to get into this cabinet, but know that it's not toys, they are things that could hurt me. So eventually I think in your child's mind, they're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't get into that, and then they lose interest over time. So my 8th and final tip is just to trust your gut as a new parent. If you sense that something's seriously wrong with your baby, or if you sense that you should be going about something a little bit differently, at the end of the day, you're their parent and you're their caretaker, and you know what is best for them and you know what they need. So just really listen to your baby and just really trust your gut. So thank you guys for sticking with me and watching today's video. I hope that this helps a lot of new parents coming into the world of parenthood. I know that when I was getting ready to become a mom, I really enjoyed watching a lot of videos like this because I honestly just really did not know what to expect. And I'm not saying that these tips and tricks made me or my husband the perfect parents. By far, no one is a perfect parent. You're always gonna have a flaw whether you try to be the perfect parent or not. You are going to make mistakes along the way, but don't beat yourself up over it. Stay positive, love on your child, spend that time with your child because they grow up so fast. You can always look for newer ways to improve your relationship with your child. I hope that these tips and tricks really helped you guys out if you're going to be a parent, or if you're newer to parenthood and you're just kind of looking for some little hacks or tips and tricks and advice. I will be having more of these type of videos and topics coming at you soon. So thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one.